This is the Sideline Slice, presented by Valentino's Pizza, the official pizza of the Huskers. Here's your host, Jessica Coody, and Husker Radio Network analyst, Jeremiah Sirles.
Welcome back into the Sideline Slice, presented by Valentino's Pizza with Jeremiah Sirles. I'm Jessica Coody. It's two of your favorite things in 1 week, Beat Iowa week and Thanksgiving week. Thanksgiving 100%. Food week.
I love Thanksgiving. We talk about it on the show every year. People don't give Thanksgiving its due. They're already putting up Christmas lights and Christmas trees and skipping over what is maybe the best holiday. Unlimited food, you can be a glutton, and there's football on all day. What more can you ask for?
All day for multiple days while you're eating leftovers.
Yes.
You know, yes. I do have to admit, I do have my Christmas tree up, but that's a Sherry Coody thing. My mom does it every year. She wasn't going to be back up, but I am also a big fan of Thanksgiving. I also usually do not like it going up before Thanksgiving, but I wasn't going to put it up, and she felt bad, so she just did it for me the last time she was here. So.
That's fair. That's fair. I got the permanent lights put in the house because I got tired of getting on the roof. So we do have Christmas lights up, technically. I guess you could put it that way.
Well, I guess let's go back real quick. It wasn't pretty, but I guess what were your big takeaways from the loss at Penn State?
Yeah, I mean, a couple things, and we talked about it on Big Red Reaction. One, I was upset initially, and I was really kind of just bummed about how flat the Huskers looked when they came out. 2 weeks off, bye week, road game, chance to go get your 8th win against an opponent that is very talented. And, you know, I felt like we just came out a little flat on the defensive side of the ball. Obviously, offensively, we go right down the field. We don't punch it in there on 4th and goal. And then defensively, it felt like from the word go, they just had their way with us. And as I went back and watched the film more and more, it really showed to me the dispersion of NFL talent-loaded team and a team that's growing and building NFL talent. And you just look at it, that Penn State team, the record's not going to show it, but I bet you, Jess, they have 10 to 11 players drafted off of that football team this year. Yeah. Like the NFL talent is littered all over that Penn State field, including all 5 starting offensive linemen.
Well, I mean, there's a reason why they're coming off a college football playoff appearance, and yes, they had hit a rough patch in the road, but there's still lots of talent on that team. And I think, the way, and Coach Rule said it at half, and then he said it afterwards, they got punched in the mouth, and then they didn't punch back. And it just kind of became, they weren't getting off blocks and all of that. And so I think that's where I think probably is the most disappointing. But, I also think just maybe a little outmatched. And for as much as people want to point to maybe one or two things, I think, as you mentioned, it's still a work in progress, especially you lose a guy, and it's been a whole season, but it's been an issue all season. You lose guys like Nash and Ty, and you've got to be able to build and replace with, big, physical, talented guys to be able to match up here in the Big Ten.
Yeah, and I don't think it's fair to think that Riley Van Poppel was going to step in and be Ty Robinson, right? Ty Robinson wasn't really Ty Robinson until his last year. I know for a fact, talking with scouts, he did not have that high of a draftable grade after his 4th year, right? He came back for that extra year. He really developed in the offseason. He put it all together, went on to be an early round pick. And development is not linear. It is not just you're just going to continue to go up like this, just like your team development, not just going to go up. There's going to be rises and falls and peaks and valleys. I think the bigger problem with the run game is it feels like it's been a little bit more valleys than peaks as of late. And you can look and say, okay, well, we did better against Northwestern. We did better against UCLA, but we're still giving up the big play. We're still giving up the chunk yardage play. And for me, that isn't necessarily as much about the physical of us getting out physical. There's some schematic stuff there where there's a disconnect between meeting room, practice field, Saturday, and going, okay, where's the disconnect here? Because these long runs where we're not setting an edge has really been a problem since Michigan. And that seems to be something that teams continue to take advantage of against us. And for me, that's not a physical thing. That is a mental error by someone, because no defensive coordinator No defensive line coach in the history has input a play on defense that did not have a contain and edge player. And so we got to figure that out quickly against this Iowa team coming in, because Penn State exploited it, USC exploited it, Michigan exploited it, Northwestern even got a big run off the edge. We have to find a way to set the edge on these defensive run schemes.
Yeah, listen, I have the privilege of hearing, and I'm not going to, point any fingers, call anybody out, but we heard Coach Rule say it in his press conference. I mean, there were lots of missed assignments, and that's what was being communicated. A lot of guys not doing their jobs, right? And that can lead to those big chunk plays that we have seen quite a bit of. And, so I think maybe still, again, a little bit of some young players that have just got to work through it mentally to be able to know. Do you think it's just maybe in the moment having brain farts? What do you think some of the mental errors of missed assignments or not being in the right spots? What do you attribute that to with this defense?
It's hard for me to pinpoint it. When I look on film, it seems like there's always one or two guys that are just disconnected in some way, shape, or form. And either it's they're supposed to loop and they get caught in the loop, or they don't loop far enough, or if you have the edge, you're not truly running up and setting it. You're too soft in your edge, which is creating things. And you just can't have those at this point in the season. And I think early in the year, I was able to chalk it up and be like, okay, they're young, right? It's a young team. There's young development. And you're not going to physically develop throughout the year and go, okay, well, he's just going to get stronger as the year goes on, so he'll be able to hold up more in the double teams. But as things are going more and more, I'm going, you aren't young in the scheme anymore.
Yeah.
If you played and you're Cam Lenhart and you're Davis or you're Shavers or you're Wright or whoever it is, the scheme is not young to you anymore. You've now got 11 weeks of the scheme. It is unexcusable to not set an edge. It is unexcusable to not be in the right position. If you get beat physically, cool. That's going to happen. Right? It's football. You're going to get guys. The name of the game is you get them more than they get you. But as far as it comes to schematically, that's an inexcusable error at week 11 of the season. You just can't do it. It will get you beat. And that's what I'm starting to see. And that's a big frustration on my end, which I'm sure it is on Coach Rule's end too, is you can call the right plays. And if the guy's not there because he has a brain fart, that's when things are just really unacceptable. And you got to really get that figured out in the meeting room. Because like I said, that's a disconnect from installation in the meeting room, practicing it during the week, and then it has to show up on Saturday.
Yeah. And then when Coach Rule's talking about guys aren't getting off their blocks, that part of it, is that the physical part of it that you're talking about? How can guys be better in that area?
Yeah. First of all, it's Corey Campbell, bigger, faster, stronger. Right. And a lot of those things just take place in winter conditioning. I mean, when you show up to training camp, you are in your peak physical strength, right? You've had full winter, you've had a full summer, you are peak physical of what you're going to be for the rest of the year. And what your job is to try and hold that as long as you can before it starts to taper off. And by the end of the year, it always tapers off. That's just how it works. And so as I watched early in the year, guys kind of getting pushed around and not getting off blocks, I was a little concerned. And I had talked to you guys about this, going, this could be an issue down the road because we're not going to get any stronger. Well, what you have to do is learn, okay, if I'm not going to be able to physically just sit in here and eat this double team, I have to be really good with my hands. I have to be really good with my leverage. I have to be really good at splitting gaps. Like that's where the technique stuff comes into place. And if you're not playing with good tight hands on the defensive line, if you're not playing with good tight hands at the linebacker and you're letting guys get into your chest, you're going to get covered up. And so the biggest thing for me is these defensive linemen, these linebackers have to continue to get better and more violent with their hands. They have to know that if, as an O-lineman, my favorite thing to do is climb up on a linebacker, grab him, and I would pull him into me and headbutt him as hard as humanly possible. And then I would just stay tight and I would drive him. And if he didn't use his hands, he was done. He was dead. And the thing that drove me nuts when I played against really good linebackers is when I would go to try and grab them, they would shoot their hands inside and get leverage and push on me. And then they get me on a push-pull. They'd be able to keep me extension as they ran their feet. But the kiss of death for a linebacker is when you allow an O-lineman to run up on you and clamp you up because now you can't see around him. And then as soon as you try and peek around him, you're going to get dumped on your butt. So that's the thing that I see from our linebackers' perspective is they have to be more violent with their hands.
All right, well, let's talk about the offense. I know, again, maybe scoreboard-wise doesn't tell the whole story, but I thought there were a lot of positives, and I thought TJ Lateef once again did a lot of really good things.
Yeah, he looked good. You know, I think early in the game we got him hit, which rattled his timing a little bit. I would like to see his legs be utilized a little bit more from a called run perspective. I think the scrambling is great. Obviously, had that 11-yard touchdown scamper, which was awesome to see. right? We're getting him out on the edges, but I think against a team like Iowa that's got really good defensive interior presence, threatening the edge with his legs, whether it's a zone read, a called quarterback sweep, something along those lines to keep the defense honest is the next evolution of his game. And I also understand Daniel Holgerson's ability to not want to do that with the fact that, no, we don't have a really good, like strong, sturdy backup quarterback that fits his skill sets. We'd be changing game plans again if Gramstead had to go in. And so there's this idea of protecting Lateef because he's really the last man in defense on quarterback depth chart, but also wanting to be able to use him and utilize him and to put as much pressure on the defense as possible. But for a road start in a tough environment, I know it wasn't the normal whiteout Happy Valley that everyone's used to, but it's still a tough place to play. He had handled it well. He got the offense in. There was no like lapse in play calls and a lot of offsides or motion penalties. So overall, the development for him is getting better. I also think it's just one of those things too, where you don't want to put too much on his plate as a passer from a reads perspective and a route concepts perspective, because that's not really his game. And it's not fair to think that his development is that far ahead right now. And it also makes you really appreciate Dylan Raiola's ability to, as a freshman, walk in and be able to read those routes, read those concepts from a developmental side of a freshman, and then seeing as a sophomore, TJ Lateef is still growing in that, which is to be expected.
And Dylan came in as a true freshman and played a whole season. TJ's just this game too, as
right.
as a starter.
Again, and like I said, development is not linear. It's this. Right? Yeah. It's riding the waves.
I will say, in terms of him using his feet, there were a couple times that Dana Holgerson wanted him to, and when they would come back and talk about it, I was just so impressed with how he handled the game, because it wasn't going well at times, and and he's doing everything he can, but he's wanting to learn. He's diving into the film on the sideline and asking questions. I was so impressed with him, and even Coach Roll at one point came over to the defense and said, you see our freshman quarterback out there running guys over. He's battling, and just kind of like using that as a challenge. So I think there were a lot of things that, given the situation, that I think you could, a lot of times maybe a true freshman might not have handled that kind of situation as well as TJ did.
Yeah, no, and I think you're seeing his maturity a lot. I mean, at the moment doesn't look too big for him. I think the moment looked a little too big for him against USC, to be expected. He wasn't ready for that moment. He wasn't expecting going in that moment. But since he's been named the starter and Dylan's been done, it has seemed like he's taken the preparation for the week the right way. He's taken the game plan the right way, and the moment doesn't look too big for TJ Lateef. And I think that's a big piece of the evaluation going forward with what do we want to do at the quarterback position. If you can have two quarterbacks in Dylan and TJ, which hope they both stay. Not sure if it's going to happen, right? But I think that if you can say, man, we have two quarterbacks at the moment's not too big, you can really build off that kind of stuff.
I think we saw, though, he's got a pretty good arm, too. I mean, he made a couple of really, really, really pretty throws.
Absolutely. I mean, the one where he's rolling out to his right and he throws it to Dane Key over there on the sideline, drops it over the linebacker in between the safety. Those are layered throws. Those are really hard to do. And you see the arm talent there. And so I think the more he showcases that in practice, and the more he showcases that like in the game in Penn State, the more I am hopeful that Dana Holgerson is going to keep opening up the offense, because I think we talked about it last week. You don't just throw the whole offense on TJ Lateef's plate and go, have fun, right? You do it in chunk installments. You say, okay, this is what we're going to do this week. Show me you can do it. Let's move on. And as Husker fans, you're probably getting really frustrated hearing me say that. We're like, what? Why not? Like, you just got to let the guy grow, and you can't put too much on him and hamper his development, because now he's seeing ghosts, chasing things. But the more you're seeing, I mean, even from the UCLA game to this game, there was more on the plate as far as the offensive thing. Now, obviously, we didn't have the success we had in the UCLA game, and Penn State's a much better team than UCLA. But I anticipate this week with the Iowa game, and now 3 full weeks of him being the starter, we're going to see more of the playbook opened up for him, especially here at home, controlled environment. Like, I think we'll see a lot more of the playbook open up for TJ Lateef on Friday.
Home you just can't get anywhere else. What started with a treasured family recipe has become a Nebraska tradition for over 68 years. Proud to be the official pizza of the Huskers.
All right, well, let's go ahead and dive into it. And starting with, I did the TV show with Coach Rule on Sunday and asked him about, because they've been very much meticulous about how they handle every single thing from week to week. But for this week, they made the decision they weren't going to really I guess dwell too much on the film and try to go, hey, we got to correct all this. We got to move forward and prepare, especially with one less day to prepare for Iowa. Mentally, what's the challenge of that after getting beat up a little bit like you did it at Penn State and then having to turn right around and play in this one against Iowa?
Yeah, you don't have time when you lose a day to really dwell on anything from the week before. You have to make the corrections. And so what it is you're not going to watch the whole tape, right? But your coach is going to give you a list of like, hey, here's the things that went wrong and here's the things that we have to fix and here's how we're going to do it in practice. But you can't sit there and spend a whole day dissecting Penn State. It just doesn't work. You don't have enough hours in the week. And so you have to be able to watch that game objectively on your own, take your coach's notes, and then flush it and move immediately on to Iowa. And if you dwell on Penn State too long and don't focus on Iowa, we're looking to be a repeat of what happened last Saturday night in Happy Valley, and that can't happen. And so I like the approach by Coach Rule and the staff to understand that, hey, it does us no good to sit here and beat ourselves up over what happened. Let's focus on not letting it happen again. And so I'm good with that and how you have to move on. It's the same way when you have a Monday night football game in the NFL and then you show up to work on Wednesday. No one cared what happened on Monday night. That's over. It's time for the next week and focusing on Sunday. Very similar approach. And again, Coach Rule's experience in the NFL is what's going to help him with this type of stuff, with the short game off a night game into a short week on a morning game. You even lose another 6-8 hours of preparation.
So when we were going into last week, we were talking about, these next 2 weeks, especially offensive line wise, could be two best offensive lines, I think is what you said that Nebraska would have faced all year. So how can things change? How can they be different? Are you worried at all about, things be a repeat type of performance when it is, you've got talented guys up front on the offensive line?
Yeah, I mean, so last week was the most talented O-line we'll play all year. All 5 of those guys will be draft picks. And you heard it here first. And then you look at Iowa's offensive line, 3 of those dudes are getting drafted this year. Logan Jones is getting drafted. Bo Steffens is getting drafted. Jennings Dunker's getting drafted. And so you look at that and go, okay, well, what's the difference between Penn State and Iowa? The difference for me is the receivers on Penn State scare me a lot more than the receivers on Iowa. And so if I'm Butler, and I'm looking at this and I'm telling my guys, listen, there is no magic wand scheme-wise that I can just wave and we'll stop the run. It's the dudes. You have to go up there and stop the run. That being said, I think Butler can be more aggressive in the run blitzes that he wants to call this week and trust guys like Sierra Wright and trust guys like Marshall and trust guys on the edge to play man coverage against these receivers more than we did last week. Because we ran the more of that zone scheme last week. And I mean, it was like 7-man protection, 2-man routes, and they were wide open. And so for me, I'm going to look at that and I'm Coach Butler and go, hey, I'm going to run blitz and play man coverage behind it. Because I don't think Mark Gronowski is as polished as a passer as they're going to be. I think it's going to be a lot more of similar schemes that Penn State run with the outside zone, the pin pulls, those stretch things. I'm going to run blitz with my linebackers, with Shavers, with Wright, even getting Singleton involved up there in the box. I'm going to run blitz with those guys, and I'm going to trust my DBs on the back end to play tight man coverage and make them beat us in the air.
Okay, how about the Iowa defense? I mean, we've joked about it for every year on the picks. I mean, it's special teams and defense. They don't play 3 phases, but they still manage to win 8, 9, 10 games every single year with elite special teams and defense. What defensively, what worries you matching up against this Nebraska offense with TJ and company?
Yeah, they're going to come after TJ. I think that they're going to really come after him and really try and make him uncomfortable. They have really good edge players coming off the edge. They push up the middle, and they're going to blitz. I think that they're really going to blitz. They're not a super blitz-heavy team, but if I'm playing against us and I know that the bulk of our run game is from in between the tackles, I'm going to send those 2 interior linebackers, try and plug up, not allow Rocco and Justin and Henry to double team the nose and double team the D tackles. And then I'm going to try and get those guys off those double teams early and then try and force us to try and run on the edges. We have not been successful on running on the edges this year. And so if I'm Iowa, I'm going to go, hey, I'm going to plug up the middle and see if they can get this edge run game going, whether it's fly sweeps or it's Emmett Johnson on some pin pulls or some counters and that type of thing. And I'm going to take away what Nebraska does well. And that's what Penn State tried to do. Penn State tried to take away our interior run, and we stuck with it. Coach Rule stuck with it. You have to. You can't just stand back there like a statue and throw it 60 times against those edge rushers. Similar this week. I've been saying it since the end of the Penn State game. The way that you beat Iowa is you out Iowa, right? You run the football, You play great defense, you play good special teams, and you make the other team make a mistake, and then you capitalize on that mistake. That is Iowa's blueprint for the last decade. They don't do anything fancy. They wait for you to step on your own toes, and then they take full advantage and take the kill shot when it's there. They don't force the kill shot. They wait for the other team because they play so methodical. They don't beat themselves. They don't take bad penalties. They don't turn the ball over. Then they wait for you to make that one mistake, and then they capitalize it, and all of a sudden a 3-score game, a 1-score game is now a 2-score game. And then you have to keep pressing, and then you make another mistake. And that's how Iowa works. We have to out Iowa if we want to win this game.
So, and then in terms of just running the football, if that's something that they're going to take away, is there something you can utilize with getting some of the wide receivers involved, some short passing game? How can you maybe combat if they try to take Emmett and the run game out of it?
We got to take some shots down the field. And I'm not saying 7-step drop, stand back there and let these long, deep crossing routes develop. I'm saying 3-step drop, fade ball to Dane Key. Right? Keep those safeties honest. Make them, if they want to stand at 8 yards, okay, one-on-one matchup with Dane Key, one-on-one matchup with Isaiah Hunter, one-on-one matchup with a linebacker with Luke Lindenmeyer. I'm going to stretch the defense early in this game. Just keep them honest. We didn't throw a ball 20 yards down the field until like the fourth quarter last week. And those safeties, I was just watching them every play getting closer and closer and closer. We got to stretch the field. And again, I'm not saying, because I don't think, holding up a protection hasn't been something we've been great at this year. And so I'm not saying 7-step drop, deep crosser, deep in, deep dig, deep post. Throw some fades. Throw some fades on 2nd and 3. Get a great first down run. Set yourself up for 3rd and short. Take a shot. We need to be aggressive in order to get this defense to loosen up a little bit. And so whether that's taking a shot on play action, max protecting and play action, max protecting and 2-man routes, and if it's not there, then run. We have to find a way to stretch the defense more than we have in the last 2 weeks.
And special teams, obviously, always going to be a big part of this. That
was the first time we got outplayed on special teams all year. Mm-hmm. That was the first time we got outplayed on special teams all year, and it hurt us. We need special teams. It's kind of been taken away from us really for the last 3 weeks, as teams weren't allowing our special teams to be a difference maker in the game like they had been. So now that special teams can be back, it's going to be cold. It's going to be blowing. It's going to be windy. I hope you have your big coat. I hope you have your big coat, Jessica. Kyle's going to be wrapped up in a parka or something somewhere up in the booth. But you need to make sure special teams can play a huge piece of this game. It's going to be a lot of punts. It's going to be a lot of short field goals. They're not long field goals unless you have the wind with you. If it's snowing, all that's going to play a factor. Special teams is going to play a crucial role in this week on both sides of the football team.
Coach Rule's fired up about it. He's like, I cannot wait.
Are you kidding me? Yeah, obviously. This is what you live for as an offensive lineman, specifically. Like, give me the gross, snowy, cold every time I hit someone. I feel like because it's fun, Jessica. What do you mean, why? It's fun. It's fun to go out there with no sleeves on when it's 20 degrees and slam yourself into another person over and over again. I can't tell you why. I can't tell you why it's fun, but golly, I wish I could do it again.
Doesn't it hurt more when you get hit when you're cold?
Only if you let it. You can tell yourself it doesn't. You have to just lie to yourself until it actually doesn't hurt anymore.
Who does this favor then?
Iowa.
Yeah.
Unfortunately. Look at what the Oregon game. The Oregon game was cold and blowing, and they just pounded and pounded and pounded. I know Oregon found a way to win it at the end, but this is an Iowa-type game. They don't like to throw the football. I think Mark Gronowski at times is allergic to the forward pass. And so you look at him and you're like, okay, let's make him beat us through the air in a cold, windy, blowy game. But I was going to say, I don't really care if it's cold or windy or blowy or what's happening. We're committing to the run. And so it's going to be on the Nebraska Black Shirts to make the run, not be able to get chunk plays and make them get behind the sticks, create some negative runs. If they live in 2nd and 5 all day, it could be a very long day for the Black Shirts.
It's too bad this weather wasn't here, 3 weeks ago for USC.
Oh, yeah. USC would have freaking frozen to the ground, right? I was like, just another Friday.
All right, so senior day, we talk about this every year, but what are the emotions like for these guys that, you think about this group and some of these seniors that have stuck around through so much adversity, the coaching changes, the losing seasons, to get through it, to have a couple of back-to-back winning seasons where you're going to a bowl game, but, buying into the culture with Coach Rule, you could write books and stories about the senior class, and especially the ones that have been here. And you look at the two three of the offensive linemen that Turner Corcoran, Justin's not a senior, but Henry Lutovsky's being honored. Some of those guys that just been through it. What are the emotions like for these guys getting ready to play their last game inside Memorial?
Yeah, the great piece for these guys is they know it's not their last game. You know, when you're not going to a bowl, or that this possibly could be my last game if we don't win, there's a lot more of those emotions that click in. When you're going to a bowl game and you understand this is my last time in front of this crowd, you can enjoy it a little bit more and it feels a lot less pressure. And that's what's going to be great for these guys, is they're going to get to take the victory lap before the game of, man, to think back and reflect on all the nonsense that I've been through and all of the ups and the downs, to getting our first bowl game appearance last year, to playing in matched games this year and winning games on the road and winning one-score games. Like, the range of emotions is going to be big for these guys, and rightfully so. It's a huge deal. It's a huge deal to really kind of put a bow on understanding this is the last time you get to walk out of that tunnel and read the "I play for Nebraska" and see the sea of red and take that moment in. Because I tell people all the time, if I had one more game strapped in me, it wouldn't be in the NFL. It wouldn't be at US Bank Stadium. It would be right here in Memorial Stadium. I mean, there's nothing like playing in Memorial Stadium. And so for these guys, I hope that they can take that moment in and understand that, and then also walk away with a win. I lost my senior day, and it still pisses me off. It still pisses me off, the fact that I know Iowa beat me on my senior day. It still sticks right in my craw. And so I want these guys to go out with a bang and go, hey, yeah, we beat Iowa on our senior day, and they'll remember that for the rest of their life.
Teddy Prohaska was the other offensive lineman I was trying to remember. But Javen Wright, Deshaun Singleton, Marquise Buford, there's a lot of these guys that have been through a lot since they've been here.
Absolutely. And it's right that we honor them. So Husker Nation, I know it's cold. Show up early. Clap for these dudes. Be there. Support them. They've given a lot to this program, and they're going to be a big reason why this program shifts when it finally shifts to those 10, 11 playoff-type appearance games.
Love that. All right, keys to a Husker victory against Iowa.
Yeah, stop the run. Key number one, stop the run. That is as big of a key as you can possibly have. Step two, no penalties. I think win the penalty battle. I think I can't say no penalties. I'd like to say no penalties, but you have to win the penalty battle against Iowa because they're a very disciplined football team. So no personal fouls, no getting mouthy. It's a rivalry game. Don't let your emotions spiral out of control on a kickoff and you're sitting there jawing with the guy and you do something stupid and get a 15-yard penalty or whatever it might be. So control your emotions, win the penalty battle. And then the third thing is turnovers. I know this is as simple as a key as I could have this week because these is a simple
cliche.
It's the most cliche how to win a football game. But when you're playing Iowa, these are the things that matter.
Yeah, true.
Like when you're playing Iowa, these are the things that matter. You can't beat yourself with penalties. You can't turn the football over, and you can't allow them to run up and down the field. Those are the three keys. And if you can win 2 out of those 3, you're going to give yourself a chance to win this game. You lose 2 out of those 3, and I can almost guarantee you we will lose this game. That's just how Iowa operates. And I've watched enough of them. Shoot, I represent one from last year. Like, he talks about it all the time. That's literally, he's like, yeah, we just preach, run the football, don't turn the ball over, don't beat ourselves. Oh, okay, that's pretty simple, but it seems pretty effective. So, again, out Iowa, and go out there and capitalize when they make the mistake, force them to make penalties, force them to throw the football, and the Big Red's going to give themselves a good chance to win this football game.
All right, you in shape for all the cheese grating? Isn't that your favorite? The mac and cheese, right?
Oh yeah, I'm going to be cheese grating like crazy here. Because I'm sure the wife's already starting to plan. My aunt and uncle are coming in. They're staying here, and then no Hy-Vee this week, so I won't be down there. Unfortunately, it's a little cold, so I don't think we're going to do it. And then I will be on Big Red Reaction for the final time here. So, and it won't be at midnight, so that's a huge plus as well.
All right. Well, and we've got our picks this week. We're getting towards the end of this thing, so we've got a battle at the back. Both of us are tied at the back, so we're going to see how that jockeys out. So we got picks and Big Red Reaction, so plenty of Sirles coming up the rest of this week.
Absolutely.
All right. For Jeremiah Sirles, I'm Jessica Coody. This has been the Sideline Slice presented by Valentino's Pizza, the official pizza of the Huskers.
Go Big Red, beat Iowa.
Valentino's treasured Italian family recipes have been passed down for generations and still locally owned and operated. Valentino's proudly serving Nebraskans in Memorial Stadium for over 30 years.